All right, it is time for the Friday feed bag one day early because I will be away tomorrow. So let's get into some of the feedback from folks in the audience. Emails count, YouTube comments, Instagram replies. It's all valid if there's something interesting in there. I'm going to start today rather with some unhinged attack against me, although there are some of those coming up. I'm going to start with something serious, okay? At least in theory. This person posted to the subreddit, "Why do you feel entitled to the votes of leftists/progressives? When leftists or progressives say they wouldn't be voting or would be voting for a third party instead of voting Biden because Biden does not align with their values regarding certain topics like maybe taxes or Palestine or whatever, Democrats and people here, meaning I guess on my subreddit, seethe over why they should be voting for Biden and how it will be all their fault if Biden loses to Trump and blah, blah, blah. However, if a person that is center right or further right says they won't be voting for Biden and will be voting for Trump instead because Biden doesn't align with their values, I don't think anyone here would be screaming at them as to how they should be voting Biden or crying about how they would be the reason Biden loses. So my question is, why do you feel entitled to the votes of people that are to the left of you, but not to the right of you? If you want the votes of progressives so badly, shouldn't you at least make an effort to gain the votes of leftists by taking into account their values instead of just yelling at them? This is a perfectly fine question. No one is entitled to anybody's votes, okay? The difference in these scenarios is the following. There are lots of these people on the left who are way closer to Biden than they are to Trump. Imagine a number line that goes from 1 to 10. 5 is perfect moderates. 1 is the left, 10 is the right. If we say Biden is a 4 and Trump's a 9, right? And you're a 3, you're to Biden's left. You're 1 away from Biden and 6 away from Trump. And so the frustration that some on the left have with those folks saying I'm going to vote third party or stay home is that you've got someone that's a 4 and you're a 3. You're right there. But you're going to take an action that makes it more likely that the 9 becomes president. I'm not entitled to anything. Biden's not entitled to anything, whatever. Now, the caller, the writer says, what about centrists, right? Imagine that you're, between 4 and 9. Imagine you're a 6.5. So you're 2.5 from Biden and you're 2.5 from Trump. Why don't you blame them for Biden losing? Well, at least their politics are somewhere between Biden and Trump. So it's not as obviously a self-inflicted damaging move to stay home or vote third party or whatever. So that's why it's different. Nobody's entitled to any vote. I don't see any entitlement in many of these people saying, your actions might end up with you being even more dissatisfied, assuming you're telling the truth about being to Joe Biden's left. But nobody's entitled to any vote. Everybody gets to do what they want. Every politician has to earn every vote. All right. Robert Richardson wrote in about crime. He just doesn't believe in the statistics. Robert says crime is not down. That's a ridiculous understatement. Laws have changed so that crime isn't labeled the same. Theft laws in California and why gangs of criminals are ransacked stores across the nation. People are having their cars broken into, windows smashed. Legalizing drug use, I guess, does lower crime rates, but also destroys the country's soul. This is very stupid because when we look at the data on violent crime and property crime, drug use is nowhere in there. So the argument is they've changed the laws. You legalize drugs, all of a sudden crime is down. Wrong. When you look at violent crime and property crime, drug use crimes are not in there. It's hard to say anything more than that. Tellis wrote in and says, the moment Trump wins this November, I am going both feet all in on the stock market because Trump will take it through the roof again. Trump 2024. It's funny. If this guy has been sitting on the sidelines of the stock market since Joe Biden became president, waiting for Trump to win to then put his money into the stock market, you've lost a lot of money, my friend. You've lost a lot of gains that you could have had during this record run-up under Joe Biden. But to each his own. You're talking about timing the market. I don't recommend doing that. I just keep investing no matter who's president. It's worked out pretty well. A user who goes by the name Sex Bomb, and you see his profile picture here as well, wrote to us on TikTok and says, "You are a dumb ass for thinking that way. I am a veteran of the will back him as long as you try to put him away." What? He is the best president we've had in years. To each their own. And you can, I guess what this person's saying is, for as long as there are indictments against Trump, Sex Bomb 1950 is going to be trying to make Trump president again. All right, well, you're absolutely entitled to do that. On Instagram, a user who goes by the handle Be Unapologetically Patriotic. So this is a very patriotic individual. He wrote in and said, "Hey, Davey, when are you going to start talking about the DNC pulling Joe Biden and replacing him with Michelle Big Mike Obama before the election?" Laughing, crying emoji. I have one answer, okay? Because remember, by the way, transphobic comment, disgusting in every way. We're going to skip over that for the time being. When will I start talking about Michelle Obama replacing Joe Biden this year on the ticket? I will start talking about that as soon as there is even a shred of evidence that it's going to happen. And you can count on that, my friend. You can count on that. Symptom of the Universe commented on Trump criticizing Nikki Haley for acting like she won the New Hampshire primary. And Symptom says, he has a lot of nerve saying Nikki acts like she won. He's been doing it for 3 years. It's a fair point, right? Trump's been acting, forget about Nikki Haley coming out positive after losing New Hampshire. Trump's been pretending that he's the winner of the 2020 presidential election for 3 years. Anthony Casanelli says, are we nervous, David? Are we nervous, David? Nothing will stop Trump from being president in November. No riot, no war, no terror attack, and definitely no pathogen X, and no indictment either. Bye-bye, David. Enjoy your freedom while you can. You know, it's funny. All these people want to act like Trump's not going to be a dictator. Trump's not going to be an authoritarian. He's not going to be like Kim or Putin or Duterte or Erdogan. And then he says, if Trump wins, I will lose my freedom. It sounds like he's going to be an authoritarian dictator if you're telling me my freedom will expire when Donald Trump becomes president again. These aren't serious people, by the way. These are not serious people. And lastly, Evan Sheehan wrote in and says, you're a waste, man. Now, of course, it's the wrong you're. I don't even know if it's relevant to point that out anymore. It's almost always the wrong you're with these people. Okay. You're a waste, man, only waffling because you're a Democrat for though Trump clapping Sleep Joe in the election. English, please try it. Isn't that what they say to the immigrants are endangering our country because they refuse to speak English. Evan Sheehan is refusing to speak English and says it's the immigrants that we need to worry about. Give me a break, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, folks, send in your thoughts. info@davidpakman.com. Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the whole thing. It's the Friday feed bag, one day early because I'm off tomorrow. We have a fantastic bonus show for you today. Sign up at joinpakman.com. It'll give you access like that. And you can, of course, use the coupon code SAVEDEMOCRACY24.